Pronounced, defined, used in lexical dispatch.
Gouge, noun verb, gouge field, gouge material, gouge layer, gouge zone, verb, to dig or scrape out roughly. Example, the machine gouged a trench in the metal. Noun, a groove or hole made by gouging. Example, the earthquake left deep gouges in the train. Noun, a chisel with a curved blade. Example, the sculptor used a gouge for wood carving. Verb, to overcharge or swindle. Example, tourists were gouged by inflated prices. Noun, crush rock in geological faults. Example, the fault line contained layers of gouge. Noun, a large scoop or handful. Example, a gouge of earth, now poetic or obsolete. The geological sense, fault gouge, is technical but test relevant for GRE or GMAT reading passages. The swindling sense, often price gouging, appears in SAT or GRE vocabulary questions. Gouge, forceful cutting or scooping. The construction crew use heavy machinery to gouge a deep trench for the pipeline. Be careful not to gouge the wood when chiseling. It will ruin the finish. Gouge, groove or hole. The landslide left massive gouges in the mountainside. The archaeologists studied the gouge marks on the ancient stone tablet. Gouge, noun, chisel tool. The woodworker selected a curved gouge to carve intricate designs. A sharp gouge is essential for detailed relief carving. Gouge, verb, overcharge or swindle. During the festival, vendors often gouge tourists with absurdly high prices. The law prohibits businesses from gouging customers during emergencies. Gouge, noun, geological crushed rock. The fault line contained layers of fine-grained gouge from tectonic movement. Scientists analyze the gouge material to predict future seismic activity. Gouge field, geological context. The gouge field fracture zone indicated significant past earthquake activity. Engineers avoided building on the gouge field fault due to instability risks. Gouge material, geological context. The gouge material in the core sample revealed the fault's history. Friction tests were conducted on the gouge material to assess its strength. Gouge layer, geological context. The gouge layer between the rock strata was evidence of shear stress. Drilling revealed a thick gouge layer at the tectonic boundary. Gouge zone, geological context. The gouge zone extended for miles along the San Andreas Fault. Seismic waves travel differently through a gouge zone than solid rock. Key tips for TOEFL, SAT, GRE, and GMAT. 1. Likely question formats. Analogies. Gouge, tool, is to carve as brush is to paint. Gouge, overcharge, is to exploit as flatter is to deceive. Synonym selection. Gouge, cut, is close to chisel, scoop, excavate. Gouge, swindle, is close to overcharge, extort, defraud. Avoid gauge, a measuring tool or standard. Sentence completion. The unethical vendor tried to blank customers during the shortage, charging 10 times the normal price. Answer: gouge. 2. Common confusables. Gouge versus gauge. Gouge means cutting tool or swindle. Gauge means measuring device, for example, pressure gauge, or estimate, for example, gauge interest. Mnemonic. Gouge leaves a hole, gauge measures the hole. Gouge, geology, versus debris. Gouge means finely crushed rock in faults. Debris means general scattered fragments, broader term. Gouge, verb, versus scoop. Gouge implies forceful or rough removal. Scoop suggests smoother, controlled action. 3. Relevant idioms or phrases, rare but possible. Price gouging, common in SAT or GRE reading passages about economics. Gouge out a living, archaic, means to scrape by with difficulty. Final test taking strategies. TOEFL. Focus on distinguishing gouge, physical action, versus gauge, measurement, in listening or reading. SAT or GRE. Watch for gouge in analogy questions. Tool is to action or synonym sets. Exploit, defraud. GMAT. In critical reasoning, price gouging may appear in arguments about ethics or regulation. Spell trap. Remember, OUGE suffix, cut, swindle, versus AUGE suffix, measure. Memorization aid. Gouge is get out unfairly or grind earth.